welcome you on for this session of Sony Masterclass. We kick off today for the first session, and on behalf of the MFDC, Sony and our partners, we welcome you for all the 5 sessions, and we hope you have a good time here. You're learning technical aspects and everything. And I would like to invite the GM, the CEO of the MFDC, Mr. Kevin Getty, to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ansley. Today we celebrate not just filmmaking, but the incredible talent and potential in our local industry. We are thrilled to have with us Chris Lotz, a remarkable South African cinematographer, and our partners from Sony Middle East and Africa, Mr. Prashant Patali and Mr. Berger Terblanche, the digital imaging demand creation managers. Without their vision, dedication, and support, bringing this masterclass to Mauritius would not have been possible. We sincerely thank and applaud them for making this incredible opportunity a reality. A big thank you also to the Mauritius Telecom, the Media Trust, and the University of Mauritius for their continued support in making this initiative possible. The response has been amazing. Over 80 applications, which shows just how eager our filmmakers are to learn, grow, and push boundaries. And this is just the beginning. The MFDC is already planning more workshops and masterclasses to provide even more opportunities in the near future. I encourage you all to engage fully, ask questions, and make the most of these 2 days. Masterclasses like this are about learning, yes, but also about being inspired, thinking differently, and telling stories that resonate. I will now officially declare our first session of the Sony Masterclass series here in Mauritius open. But before, I would like to call on stage Mr. Prashant Patali to share a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. You guys hear me better? Thank you for the introduction, and we are also extremely happy to be part of this whole program. My background about me, I've been with Sony for 7 years, started my career with marketing, and now I look after sales operations for a lot of countries across Middle East and entire Southern Africa. So when I got to South Africa a year back, the one country that I was really keen was engaging in Mauritius. We do extremely well in South Africa, but Mauritius, such a beautiful country, we do have presence here. We sell TVs, headphones, and all other things, but camera was not the primary focus. That's when me and my team, we decided that we need to bring camera business back here. October last year was my first trip, and we delivered the first event in March. And that's when we realized that there's so much this country can do, so much this country can deliver. It's just that enough opportunities, awareness has not been done. And then we happened to meet Arvind and Kevin, and that changed things for a lot for us. We've already done a masterclass before, but nothing like this. To tell you the idea about this 4 sessions is you will not hear any sales pitch. The next 4 sessions that you'll have is not about sales pitch. Arvind and Kevin were very clear that we don't want anybody doing sales promotion. They're very clear that it's all about filmmaking. So yes, it's all about filmmaking. The guests that we have, the speakers that we have for the 4 sessions are only going to help you understand movie making better. How do you approach making a movie? How you fulfill your dream of being a cinematographer? So like Kevin said, you have to ask questions, or we can get done this by 12 o'clock, go home and sleep. But unless and until you engage yourself, ask questions, you'll not get the answers. So have a great session, and for the future sessions too. To take this further, I include my best friend Berger. He needs a clap every time he comes on the QC. So Berger was part of the demand creation. So my role is very simple. I just have to sell the product. His job is the tougher one. He has to create demand so that I can sell the product. So he's more important here today. So what Burger's role is, Burger's been in South African business with us for almost 4 years now. And I requested him if he could help me in cultivating Mauritius too. And that his role is to cultivate the market. You can speak a bit what you do, but yeah, it's very important, guys. But thank you so much.
Well, good morning after that introduction. Yeah, so like Prashant mentioned, well, firstly, yeah, Prashant didn't put his slide on, but that's Prashant. And like you mentioned, my name is Burger. I take care of what we refer to as demand creation, which can also be interpreted as strategic marketing. So we try to see how we can keep the brand relevant 5 years down the line without necessarily knowing what product we will be selling at that point. But before I get into the things that I want to discuss with you this morning, I won't take too much of your time because I know you're not here to listen to me. But can I just ask that we fill the space from the front? Because I need to take a selfie, because my boss was saying, why are you going to Mauritius? You're just going on holiday. I don't believe you that you're going to work. So I have to send him a photo. So can I just ask everyone to just come and fill the spaces towards the front? So if you're sitting in the very back and you see an open seat in front of you, just move a bit forward so that everyone's a bit closer. And then you're going to have to be in my selfie because, like I said, I might lose my job if I don't take this photo. Okay, so I see there's still 2 seats in the very front. There's 1 over here. There's 2 over there. The guys there in the very back, I can hardly see you. Are you hiding from me? Okay, are you ready to take this photo? Guys, like my career depends on this, so I need to see some hands. I need to see some teeth. Okay, let's do this. Okay, 1. Now where's the hands? Show me the hands. Yes. Okay. Now my job security is sorted. That's perfect. Now we can go for it. Okay, so we have one very special guest here today that I'm just briefly going to introduce before I hand over to him a bit later. And that's Mr. Chris Lotz, all the way from South Africa. Let's give him a warm Mauritius round of applause. Chris is a very well-established cinematographer and director of photography in South Africa, working in both the documentary and the narrative space. I recently attended a film festival in South Africa, and it was actually, I think it might have been slightly embarrassing for some of the other participants because I think every single cinematography award was taken by Chris. He had a short film and a feature film in the contest, and he cleaned up. He did really, really well. The films will also be speaking on the films later today. You'll see they are really masterpieces, and we're looking forward to seeing how they perform on the rest of the circuit. Okay, so I think what's important for me to start with is just tell you, like, what is the dream that we as Sony Middle East and Africa have for Mauritius? What is the reason why we are engaging in this platform? Why are we bringing these DOPs here? Why are we working with the MFDC? And we've identified 3 ways to accelerate the cinema industry in Mauritius, and we've decided on 3 things that we will really then pursue to achieve this dream that we have for the country. The first, like I mentioned now, is to accelerate the industry growth. So this we will achieve by the strategic partnerships that we put together with the government entities, with the universities, production houses, and the rest, and also merging that with the input from the international community. So not just seeing it as an isolated island, but bringing all the expertise from around the world in to really elevate and create a platform that is world-class. The second one, and that's something that Prashant touched on, that we've been busy from October and that we're getting good momentum on, is to make the Sony gear accessible on the island. So just by a quick show of hands, who owns a Sony camera? Okay, sure, nice, we're doing good. Okay, and then who has worked on a Sony camera before? So you don't necessarily own one, but you've worked on it before, okay? Who's sitting here has never in their life touched a Sony camera? Okay. My man, we could just come here to the front, then we can change that immediately, okay? Brilliant, guys. So, yeah, so, I mean, obviously, like we said now, this is not a sales pitch. We're not going to stand here with a card machine and like, oh, you're going to take an FX3, take a lens. Like, that's not why we're here. We're here for the much broader picture of it. We're here to promote filmmaking. We're here to create and agitate the industry and take it forward. And then the third one is obviously, like, you guys. You are probably the biggest dream we have for this island, and that is to cultivate and support the local talent, to make sure that the people who are the guts and the bones of the industry are supported and are being moved forward. So programs like these specifically to help enhance your skill and to elevate you into the next level of your career. So yeah, making that dream a reality. We plan to do that by platforms like this, and in a few minutes I'll share a bit more on the rest of the masterclass program, and you can see what else you can expect after the session, after and tomorrow. So actually, let me then, before we do that, I just want to tell you a bit about the cameras. For that, my man over there that's never like touched a Sony camera, I'm just gonna like tell you, okay, and then you can come and check it afterwards. It's gonna be fun. Okay, so the Sony product line is quite vast, especially on the camera side. Today, I'm just going to tell you about our product offerings in the cinema line. Okay, and once again, this is just for your background knowledge, so that when we mention something, you've got an idea of where it fits in, what the capabilities are, and where the camera sits. So, firstly, who's familiar with the FX series? By show of hands. Okay, yes, this is a very popular line for us. It's really the beginning of the cinema industry, of cinema line, and all the way up to some of the more professional products. So you've got the FX30, which is an APS-C, a Super 35 sensor camera. You've got the newly launched FX2 with its articulating viewfinder, which is gaining a lot of popularity. And then you've got good old faithful, the FX3, the low light king, with its second base ISO at 12,800 when you're shooting on S-Log. So that camera sees in the dark. Then the bit more higher end of the FX line, we've got the FX6, which is also a tried and trusted camera with the built-in ND filters. And then, who of you has seen that little FR7 there before? Like, are any of you aware of that little robot? Okay, so that's also, it's got the same sensor as the FX6 and the FX3 in it, but it's on a PTZ mounting. So you have an incredible new world that opens up in terms of possibilities when shooting on that camera. Obviously, it's not a handheld rig. You're not going to walk around holding it. It doesn't replace your gimbal. But you can do extremely interesting things like mount it up high. You still have control over your zoom and your tilt. We've seen amazing applications where they mount it onto a boom arm and drop it into the sunroof of a car and then pan the camera around to take a shot of the person sitting in the back. So that's the kind of creativity that this technology enables, and that's very much the ethos of Sony when they develop these new products. I remember speaking to one of the engineers slightly after the FR7 reached market, and the question was, where does this camera fit in? Because obviously now I need to create demand for it. I need to know, who are we going to pitch this to? Kept quiet for a second, then he said, we don't really know, but the customers will figure it out. So they create a product that works, 100% works, but the creative application thereof, we put that in your hands. We want you as the filmmakers to take that product and to make the end production come to life. So I want to show a quick video with you. If we can just maybe kill the lights. I don't know who's closest to the switches over there. So this is a production that was recently completed in South Africa on the newly launched FX2. So the FX2 has a 33 megapixel sensor, and its video quality is downsampled from 7K. So you get an incredibly beautiful image out of this little camera. So this is one of the solo filmmakers based in South Africa. His name is Yannick Allight, and I'm just going to share his video with you, his production that he did on the FX2.
So recently, Sony sent me the FX2 and asked me to create something really ambitious. So here we are on day one, and I decided to combine two very different worlds together into one film. On the one side, you have an action sports sequence, which is a downhill mountain biker, and on the other side, you have this set that you see behind me, which is a music drumming sequence. And the two worlds are very different. One is very bright and sunny. The other world that you see behind me is very dark and high contrast. I think this camera is really going to be put to the test to see how it handles these different worlds. And so far, so good. 15 plus stops of dynamic range is amazing. And I think it really shows in the footage. One really useful feature was the dual base ISOs of 800 and 4000 in S-Log3. This helped me to get the correct exposure, especially in the darker environments. So today we're out in Stellenbosch at this bike park behind us, and this is our second location for the shoot with the FX2. The reason I chose this location was that I really wanted to use this FX2 in its bare form. I didn't want to rig this thing up like we did in the studio on day one. I wanted to see if I shoot handheld, how does it perform. I think the compact form factor of this body is really one of its great advantages. We were able to mount this camera onto some interesting lightweight rigs for POV shots, like a helmet cam and bike mount using the built-in thread holes. And its size really gave us so many unique mounting opportunities. For instance, we put this camera inside one of the drones that you see behind us, something you really can't do with any other larger cinema camera. So if you're shooting a film where you need to put the camera into tight spaces, you need the body to be light, and I think the FX2 is great for this purpose. So there's really a few features that I was looking forward to testing on this shoot, firstly being the tilting EVF. So when it comes to the new tilting viewfinder, I wasn't sure if this was something I would use, but I ended up using it in all of my handheld shots because it adds a third point of contact to your body, which really helps to stabilize the footage. The second feature I really enjoyed was the dynamic active steady shot. Although it crops in quite a bit into your image, it really stabilizes it to the point where it looks like it was shot on a tripod. One addition to this camera body that I loved was the AI processing unit. It really makes focusing so much easier, and tracking a subject that's moving really fast through your frame really felt like a breeze. The final feature I really enjoyed on this camera was the addition of the home button. This menu system was traditionally used by the high-end cinema cameras, but adding it to the FX2 really made changing settings fast and intuitive. Some other useful features worth mentioning is the option to use custom LUTs and creative looks in camera, the 33 megapixel sensor for still images, the shock mark feature, which can be really handy during location scouting, the recording lamp, custom buttons, and cooling fan are also very nice additions. As a solo filmmaker who predominantly uses mirrorless bodies like the S3 and the A7 IV, I really like where Sony positioned this camera in the lineup. I find that the FX2 is really a combination of some of the best features from the cinema line combined with the mirrorless bodies.
Right, so there you can see what is possible on these compact cinema cameras. I mean, who got excited watching that? Like, who's like, I also want to go and film someone driving down a mountain with a mountain bike? Like, anyone who got into the vibe there? No, okay, wonderful. That means the video works. That means I can pay him. Okay, then our big boys, the Venice 2 and the Burano. So by show of hands, who's worked on one of these two cameras before in the room? Okay, good. We do have some work to do because there's nobody. Okay, so the Venice 2 is our absolute flagship in our cinema line. So these two cameras form the component of the product line that we refer to as the Cine Alta cameras. The Venice 2 has been used on productions like Netflix The Crown. Any of you aware or you've seen that, right? Okay. Top Gun Maverick, the latest one with Tom Cruise. Sure, there are multiple films being shot on Venice. It is a very popular camera in Hollywood for a bunch of reasons. And we'll get into that as we progress through this masterclass. We'll definitely touch a bit more on the technical features of these cameras. And then the other one is the Burano. It was launched about 2 years ago, almost now. And that forms a slightly more compact version of the Venice. A bit fewer options in terms of codec, but this is the first camera that has both an in-body stabilization and a variable ND filter built into the body. There's no other camera that has that on the market at the moment. There's also been some welcome adjustments in terms of the media that it uses. It uses a standard CF Express Type B card to record. So for those of you who deal a lot with the production budget side of things, we had this conversation last night as well, how fast media can actually determine what you can and can't do. So having a cheaper media format in the Burano is also very, very strong feature on that camera. So, like I said, Burano, almost 2 years old, Venice 2, maybe 3, going on 4 at the moment. But the thing that has differentiated the Venice by far, or the most by far, is the addition of something that we refer to as the extension unit. So what this does, and stick with me now because this is bordering on the realm of science fiction, the sensor block, the 8K sensor block of the camera detaches, and then it slots into the front of this umbilical. It's a 12-meter extension cord that then allows you to shoot in your raw 8K format, but detached from the big body. So just imagine all of the rigging opportunities that you have when you have a handheld cinema camera, and all of the processing is still happening in the body, but your sensor block is detached. So you have so much more freedom and movement. So that was a massive selling feature along with Venice, is the compatibility with this extension. But then about 6 months or so ago, it was almost as if our Japanese engineers felt like this still wasn't good enough. We can make it smaller. We can make it even smaller. And then they came up with the extension mini. The form factor on that is, it gets lost on this slide. Like, I cannot explain to you how small this thing is. So they removed the variable ND filter system to reduce the size of the sensor, and it has a drop-in filter kit. So I'm going to show you a video, because that will get the message across of how small and how capable this is. You're just going to have to excuse me for 1 second. I'm going to have to fix something on my slide before I proceed. Okay, I think I've got it. If it doesn't play, then I did something wrong. Cool. We can hit the lights again, please.
Imagine a cinema rig that bends to your story, not the other way around. This is the Venice Extension System Mini. Light, fast, and built for setups that used to feel impossible. Let's show you how far we pushed it.
So in testing out the extension mini, I think it's an incredible benefit, the fact that your physical body of your camera is so small, so your footprint is so small, making your rigging so much easier, so much quicker.
Normally you have Sony's camera that we rig in positions, or smaller Sony cameras, which is quite cool to rig. But here we've got a better quality camera. If we just use smaller and lighter kit, it's so cheap with the DOP1s. We could put this camera in positions where we would normally have like a GoPro. Yeah, what you can't compare the two, you know.
The first shot that we've lined up was sort of on the back door. Long lens was at a 50mm, and it's to get the work, the wall, but also our actor space and a reflection of his mirror. So we're now moving on to a lower mount shot that's going to be almost wheel level. This is quite a risky shot, so if we had to do this with a Venice or a bigger camera, or even a, let's say, Burano, it is quite risky because you've got your whole system quite low to the ground. But the fact of the extension mini is we can now remove our recording device, the camera, the battery, the body, the brains, and all of that, and we've got the sensor in the front side. That's just making it so much compact. Even if something happens, which hopefully will never happen, our recording is still safe.
The picture is exactly what you would have on a Venice. It is just the loveliest umbilical, lighter umbilical,
for rigging, it is incredible. So we wanted a shot where the actor is driving, we see his hands on the steering wheel, but we do see the light cockpit. So we do see kilometers per hour, we do see that the car's actually moving, we're getting motion. The extension we need really help there because it's so small, so compact. We had space in between the actor, in between the steering wheel, without even, having to compromise the risk of putting the driver in a strange position. I don't think we could do it with any other camera. That's normally something you'll shoot with an action camera or something small, but now we can do that shooting with the Venus 2.
You can switch on the lights. That's fine. Thank you. Yeah. So I feel that's pretty exciting. That is a whole new world that's being opened up in terms of what is actually possible with rigging a camera. So we're very excited to see. Once again, same comment as with the FR7. We're excited to see what you do with this product.